Welcome everyone to Let's Talk Real Estate Investing. In this series, we chat with real estate investing professionals and experts to help you to empower yourself to build your personalized real estate investing strategy. With our experts, we talk about their experiences, their knowledge, and their learning so that you can build out your strategy based on little tidbits that they mention and things that appeal to you. If you enjoy this podcast, please hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. Once you subscribe, you'll be able to get those notifications so you know when the next podcast has been posted. My name is Debbie Balfour, and I'm a real estate investor. I'm also a real estate investing professional, and I coach real estate investors to build your personalized real estate investing strategy and scale efficiently so that you can start enjoying not just financial freedom, but time freedom. We're all unique, and our strategy needs to be unique to us. That includes your systems and processes. I'm really excited today to chat with Meghan Hubner. Meghan is our special guest speaking on the topic how to run your portfolio as a business from day one to prepare you for strategic and secure growth. Now, a little above Meghan, she's a business consultant primarily working with real estate investors. She teaches investors how to run their portfolio as a successful business. With over 12 years of corporate, pharmaceutical, and medical sales experiences, she brings a unique business perspective to our small business owners. And she's an active real estate investor herself, and she's passionate about helping other investors to build that solid business foundation to prepare for growth. Over to you, Meghan. You can speak a little bit more, expand a little bit more on yourself, and then also tell us something unique about you personally.
Okay, yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me today, Debbie. It's really nice to chat again. Well, I have been invested in real estate for just about 10 years now in a variety of different capacities. Started out with short-term rentals. We were still living in the city at that time, and so we had a vacation property up in, Whistler, British Columbia, where we'd go on the weekends and started investing that way. And it really wasn't until COVID hit that I realized there was an entire industry going on out there called real estate investing. And that's when I started to get a little bit more serious about growing a portfolio. Like I said, I worked in corporate sales for 12 years. And just all of a sudden had this kind of gut feeling that I was meant to do something different. And I kind of lost the passion for that corporate world, even though you have the golden handcuffs and an amazing position and great colleagues. And I walked away in 2019 and, wanted to chase something a little bit different. I did work with a bunch of different industries when I started my consulting business. And then I realized really what was happening in the real estate world. And that was that people were growing incredibly fast and without putting the proper systems in place. And they were getting themselves into trouble. And so when I combined my real strong interest in real estate with the business acumen that I've got a degree in business and entrepreneurship. And so I combine those two together. And I'm really passionate now about helping the small business owner. I feel like I make a greater impact now, helping someone understand how to run their business as a business, and make sure that they are prepared for growth and success. And so that's really what I focus on now.
Definitely. It's so amazing if you like when you start from grassroots with those systems, it's so much
Yeah.
easier than I mean, I did it myself. I forgot. I did it in corporate.
Yeah.
That was my job, was to go in and fix organizations and put in systems and improve the
Hmm.
processes. But I never even thought about my own business because it was something on the side. I thought of it like I was treating it as though it was stocks.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you have 5 properties and you're not using your time efficiently and you're not able to grow until you got to step back and fix
Hmm.
all those things. So
And the unique thing with real estate is that it's all tied to finances, right? And so when you
Mhm.
don't have good clarity to your finances, you can't really make a strategic move in your business because you don't really know how much money you have to play with. So you don't know if you have money to spend on marketing or on sales, or if you have the ability to hire a virtual assistant to help you and things like that. And so that's kind of what I really like to do is get granular into those levels and say, where are we currently at and what do you need to do in order to start strategically growing? Because I mean, I'm sure you've heard that saying that you are the sum of the 5 people you hang out with. And if you're hanging out with a bunch of real estate investors and they're all quickly growing and scaling too, you're going to want to do that too.
Definitely.
And so I think that, yeah, that when you take a little bit of a step back and really put those systems in, then you can confidently grow and scale faster with a better business purpose.
Excellent. So tell us something before we get more
Yeah.
into the topic of
Yeah.
business processes. Okay. Tell us something unique about yourself.
Oh gosh. Well,
personally?
I
We just
tower.
spoke about a bunch of stuff before we
Yeah.
got online. So,
Yeah, I mean, I might very unique is that I am very tall. I'm 6'1". But in addition to that, my husband and I have done a lot of traveling recently. And so we have spent, we spent a year in Mexico. We have a flip on the go in Mexico right now. We came home and then we went back to Mexico last winter for the winter as well. And now we are planning on heading down to Nicaragua because we feel it's important for our kids to get good exposure for travel and learn another language. And so we've chosen Spanish, and we were spending a lot of time investing in Spanish speaking countries so that they can get a really good, strong grasp in that language.
so did you pick up some Spanish then when you were living
I'm terrible. You can ask my 8-year-old. She'll be very happy to tell you that I'm terrible. But I have made a goal for 2025 to actually take some lessons this time. So that's
Excellent.
my commitment this year.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So, what problems do you see investors making?
Yeah, it's a great question. The problems that I see them making is that they're growing too quickly without really understanding the true business numbers. And it could be as simple as something like, what are your fixed and your variable costs of running your actual business? And I'm not talking about mortgage and interest payments. I'm talking strictly about the subscriptions that you have, your Canvas subscriptions. Like, how much does it actually cost for you to run your business of real estate? Those are things that are separate, separate and different from the property costs.
Mhm.
That's the number one thing. And I think the other thing too is a lot of people say, well, I've got an operating account. I'm going to funnel everything into the operating account, and then I'll just pay bills out of there. But they don't actually realize which properties are actually draining the portfolio, because all the money is going into one account.
Into one
And
now.
so we always start with the accounting finance component. And it could be something as simple as, have you used QuickBooks? Do you use an accounting software? Do you know what the carrying costs are on each of your properties in your portfolio? Do you know what average cost of capital expenses is for each property in your portfolio? And so we just get really granular as to what is everything costing? Where is the money going? Where is the money coming from? I like to have one bank account for every individual property. So you have really good line of sight and you have really good clarity there. And then from there, we say, okay, are you snapping receipts on the go? Are you saving your receipts? How are you saving your receipts? Do you have an accountant? Do you have a bookkeeper? So we take a look at all of those things. And then once we understand the good financial clarity, we know which properties we need to dispose of. We know which properties we can, start maximizing revenue on. Then we can say, okay, is there any money left now to take a look at sales or marketing or in building our investor package, or what's our objective? And you can kind of make your next step based off the finances that you're working with.
That's awesome. That's great. It's so true. It is. When you when you have things separated, like you're operating
Yeah.
separated, you start not thinking about that, eh, associated with those properties, and then yeah, it just becomes like a bunch of numbers, and you don't know
Hmm.
what's where.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And then you get hit with some big capital expenses and you're thinking, oh my gosh, where are those capital expenses going to come from? Because I
Mhm.
thought these properties were doing really well. And now I have a $5,000 or $10,000 bill. And where's that money going to come from?
Mhm.
So just a combination of like really getting clear on your finances and then really understanding how your business operates.
I think another big thing that I found for myself, it was the HELOC.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Do you forget, and especially when you're using a HELOC that's divided among
Right.
properties, it's very difficult to see, interest here, interest there, and you tend to
Yeah.
forget you're paying. It's not just the mortgage and those things, but it's also your HELOC
Interest payments too.
interest.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep. Absolutely.
yeah. So how early should an investor start viewing their business this way?
I would love it if people came to me when they had 3 or 5 properties, not when they have 35 properties. I think the earlier you start this, the better. I do not think, like, if you've got one property, that's great. I can probably give you a few tips on how to kind of start getting to the 5th property. But if you've got 5 properties, you have a booming business and you need to organize as soon as possible, because it's going to be very difficult. If you get to 35 properties and want to try and unwind it after that, it's very difficult.
Do you have an example you can share of someone that's like, you know, been
Like
there?
the perfect person, kind of,
Yeah, or
you mean?
someone that you've helped
Oh,
to,
yeah.
yeah, that's moved, like that came with, a few properties, no systems in place,
Yeah.
and how you were able to help
So
them.
the
What did
system
you
that
do?
that I go through is, like I said, we go into your finances, we go really deep in, we understand how much each property is costing, where the capital expenses are coming from, how are you tracking your receipts, how are you doing your bookkeeping. So we start there.
Mm-hmm.
And then with this client that I'm thinking of next, we move into sales and marketing. Okay, so it's a unique situation for sales and marketing because for some people, they're building a very strong personal brand and they want to be associated with that brand. And they want to start capital raising with that branding. And so that initiative is very different than someone who is either self-funded or has multiple investors lined up already. So your
Mhm.
marketing initiatives are going to be very different. But maybe it's the sales that we need to work on with them. And maybe we need to build out a really robust investor pitch deck for them and have them get confident in all what and everything that they have achieved in real estate. And so for some people, we end up working on sales and start really getting their sales messaging down as to how they help other investors with just returns and things that they can offer. And
Mhm.
then from there, we take a look at human resources. And so we go into human resources and we say, okay, well, who is doing these roles? And if you don't have anyone doing these roles, when do we need to hire for these roles? And do we have a job description? Do we have a performance review? Do we have an idea of what the key performance indicators and measures of success are for anyone? And if you don't, let's put those in place. Because a lot of times people hire VAs and they think, oh yeah, I'm going to hire a VA. They're going to do all the VA things. Well, that's great. But unless you tell the VA what they need to do, they're not going to know.
Mhm.
And so a lot of times we want to make sure that you're hiring the VA, we're bringing someone on, they have a clear written job description, role and responsibilities, all that kind of good stuff. So that then they can come in, you can hire confidently and know that they're actually going to execute. And then we take a look at operations too. So, maybe it's time to implement a project management software. Maybe it's time for you to really grow your CRM, your customer relationship management software. Are you using any other Canva, or are you using QuickBooks, or are you using any other subscriptions that are going to help you with the effectiveness of your business? And so we take a look at the operations too, and just even the workflow. Like maybe you have someone who's traveling for you. Do you have a travel policy in place? Could be as simple as that. So we take a look at all the operations as well. And then with those clients, they end up leaving with, a stack of standard operating procedures and job descriptions and things that we have created along the way.
Mhm. So you mentioned VAs.
Yeah.
What is I find a lot of people get stuck on what can I give a VA? Like everybody's a lot of people are I need to do this and I need to do that and and it's so hard
Yeah.
for them to give away. So I mean VAs is usually should be the easiest and they're the lowest value work. So what are some examples of those that
So
you
yeah, I
find
always
other
like
people
people
give
to
away?
start with actually going through and doing a high value, low value checklist. So if you can do a time audit for yourself over the next 7 days and say, these are high value tasks that I need to keep, and these are low value tasks that I shouldn't be doing anymore. And then you can create a job description with those low value tasks. And then those are the things that you would then outsource to the VA.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's a great VA company out there. I'll do a shout out for them. It's called hiretrainva.com, I think it is. And they actually have a list of 100 different things that a VA can do for you. And so
That's
you can
nice
go
when
down.
they can trigger that,
Yeah, you can go down,
Mm.
you can download their list, pop your email in, and download that list, and you'll get a full list, a description of what somebody can do for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if you could pop that in the chat for me,
Yeah, for sure.
again, I'll then post it in the comments of this
Yeah.
for this podcast, and so others can, get that because that's a good tip that they've already got a checklist there that we can download.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
it's
it's .com.
hiretrainva.com,
Yeah.
number one, and I
So
will
that can
pop that
help you
into
as well.
comments. Yeah, that's excellent. So if you're feeling like stuck, a lot of people are, they get to that level, like you said, that 3 to 5, and they're
Yeah.
stuck, and and they're like, I'm overwhelmed. Where do I start? Where should someone start?
I will always say start with your finances. Understand how much your properties are costing you every single month, how much they're bringing in every single month. That's
So
the number one
start
place to
breaking
start.
them down,
Start breaking it
everything
down.
down
Start
to each property.
extracting all of those hydro bills and the utility bills and things so that you really know which properties are costing you how much. And I like to say have a different bank account for each one. So you can start there. That's going to give you a clear line of sight. I mean, the other thing too is quite often we say, oh yeah, I'm going to hire this person because they're going to make me a lot more money because I'm going to take those tasks off my plate. We go to hire someone, and then 6 months later, we're like, why is my business doing so terribly? I don't have any funds in my account. Like, oh, I didn't actually have the funds to hire someone, but I went ahead and hired them anyway
Mm-hmm.
because I needed to decrease the overwhelm. So those are a lot of things. Yeah, those are a lot of things that I see people hiring by accident
Right.
too
So
soon because
although
they're
it's
not quite
nice
ready.
to outsource and to give away those low value, you have to think about your budget too.
Absolutely, which is why I really think that you need to spend that time knowing and understanding. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, good. And then also, if you that time that you're getting back, are you investing it to then earn income?
Exactly. Are you investing that time in the right way? Like, do you understand what your high value tasks are versus your low value tasks?
Mhm.
And if you don't, then you're probably spending more time in the low value tasks that aren't generating any income.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, overall, if you were to give like the top 5 tips
Yep.
to someone as a novice investor, what
Yep.
would be those top 5 tips?
Understand what each property costs you on a monthly basis and an annual basis. Understand how to properly categorize and save your expenses and your receipts. So create a system around that so that you're not getting caught at tax time looking for old receipts. Bring on an accounting system of some type, whether it is an Excel spreadsheet because you only have one property, or whether you are ready to upgrade to QuickBooks. Do choose some type of system and execute it every single month. Set a strategic goal that you want to achieve in the next 12 months so that you know if you are trying to buy one more property, then you know what the steps are in order to buy one more property. You might need to secure financing, find a private lender, understand the area you're looking to invest in. So set that goal as well. And then the last one I would say would probably be don't get stuck with inaction. We like to overdo things. And I think especially new investors sit with
Mhm.
analysis by paralysis, and they just sit there and they spin their wheels and they think, I'm a real estate investor. I'm a real estate investor, but I'm only buying one property a year, or I'm buying one property every 5 years, when in actual fact, they want to be buying one property a year, or they want to be buying one property a quarter. And
Mhm.
so I think that the more action you can take every single week to get to those goals, whether that is analyzing a property, meeting people. One of my great mentors had said, turn every conversation into a real estate conversation. And it's so true, because we leave money on the table everywhere we go when we don't
Mhm.
talk about the projects that we're doing, or how people could potentially invest with us, or how we can offer great returns and things like that, because we get so caught up in the fact that, oh, I'm selling something and it doesn't feel good. Well,
Mhm.
instead of selling something, what if you're offering them a great return and that actually helped them secure their retirement? That
Yeah.
feels so good.
Yeah. And even if that person isn't your ideal client
They can have a
already,
referral.
they may know of other people. So
Yep.
definitely, yeah.
Yep.
So
So yeah.
that's amazing. I agree. I'm totally there. And I think for me, I think that people should start actually right at the beginning with their first property.
Yeah.
Is most people are not getting into this that are interested in real estate investing for the one property.
Yeah.
So documenting everything they've done for that first property, and doing it like you said, even in an Excel, or there a lot of these CRMs, or project management softwares are available for free
Oh, absolutely.
if
There's
it's just one or
tons.
two users on it. So you start documenting things within those applications,
Yep.
then as you grow, then you can start paying for
Hmm.
it.
Yep.
It just makes it so much easier to grow. So I
Yeah,
definitely think,
absolutely.
but like you said, if you're at the 3 to 5 properties and you're feeling stuck and overwhelmed, then it's not too late,
Yeah.
you know. Well, it's never too late,
It's
actually.
never it's never too late. You just have to make the commitment and then take the action.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
step back a little and look at where you are, and then clean up the mess you have before
Yeah,
you
I
move
mean,
forward.
even in one of our other companies, right? One of our other companies is moving to the United States as well.
Mhm.
Our personal company is as well, but one of my other corporations is too. And one of our shareholders was asking last week, like, are we moving on this? Yes, and yet. And I say, yes, we are moving on it early 2025. But before we do that, we have a checklist of like, reconcile this account, understand this, clean up this, right? And so I'm like, we could go on and we could acquire 2 or 3 properties this next quarter, but until I have the rest of things streamlined and ready to go and buttoned up, and my accounting ready to go into the US, I'm not going to go there yet.
Mhm.
I want to get these things cleaned up first. That's my number one priority before we dive into a new market.
So, since you've just brought up the topic of the US, can you
Yeah.
tell us a little about? I did ask Megan that if she can come back maybe the end of this year to
Yeah.
talk a bit more about things, but maybe we can just tell us about your adventure right now, what you're
Sure.
working on in the US.
Yeah, this summer, my husband and I made a quick decision to sell our vehicles in British Columbia and drive across the country to the market that he had chosen and done a lot of research on, which was Cincinnati, Ohio. So we just spent the last 3 months there in an RV park in Cincinnati, just literally driving the streets, meeting contractors, getting to know the local market. We really wanted to base ourselves out of somewhere. And living in a small town in British Columbia just wasn't, it's hard to be a remote investor in that way. We wanted to really get our hands dirty and understand the local market. So yeah, we spent the last 3 months there in Cincinnati. We really liked it. It's a very interesting market, very different than BC, which I've studied for the last 10 years. One street, a house will be $100,000, and the next street, the house will be 350,000, and the next street, you shouldn't be driving on it. So it's really good to actually be, boots on the ground, really understanding and learning the local market, meeting local investors as well. So yeah, that's what we're focusing on for 2025 is the US acquisitions. We have, short-term rentals and some development in Canada and a long-term portfolio as well. But we're ready now to dive into the US. And like I said, we really want to just be there to really start to understand it.
Why Cincinnati?
We like Ohio in general, and my husband thought it would be a great place to base ourselves out of, even if we don't invest solely in Cincinnati. It's a good city to be in and be a part of. There's lots of things going on, lots of developments, lots of sports teams downtown. Yeah, just a really nice setting. It was actually much greener than we were expecting, and we enjoyed it a lot more than we thought.
I like what you said about, going and seeing. I think that's relevant to any market.
100%.
Really understanding, like going and seeing what it looks like,
Yeah.
what every street looks like, even going into the cities and understanding, the government parts,
Yeah.
understanding what they're looking for, how they're planning to grow, those things, because you wouldn't want to go into a place where you think it will grow, but they have no plans for it to grow.
Yeah, I mean, and lots of people do. A lot of people are out of town investors. I know that, and there's
Mhm.
nothing against it at all. But for our own comfort, especially going to a new country, we want it to just kind of be feet on the ground, and really understand and learn it, things. And yeah, there was a lot of little idiosyncrasies that we learned along the way,
Mhm.
that I think will be helpful in our journey as we go. And even just meeting some local people and understanding the sort of the vibe of the community. And we're looking for different strategies too, right? We were going to do some Section 8 rentals for one of our businesses. I have another investor who's looking to do an Airbnb as well as a long-term rental and a duplex. So just for different strategies, we're kind of looking around, poking around different neighborhoods and things like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Have you gotten into as yet, you know, are you able to live in the US or have you gotten a
We
visa
will
or?
apply for our E2 visa in the
Mhm.
next probably 6 months, 6 to 12 months, so that
Okay.
we do have the flexibility of going back and forth a little bit longer term because we do feel a
Mhm.
little bit stifled with the ability to only be there for 6 months out of every 12 rolling months.
Right,
So we strategically only spent 3 months there this fall, and then we will go back in the spring again and we'll spend another 2 months there, which will give us another month buffer that we can go back to check on any work and things like that.
right. Okay,
Hmm.
interesting.
So yeah, until we get a visa, that we could stay a bit longer.
Yeah. So that's very brave of you to just like pack up everything.
Yeah. Just going, I know for most people it makes their head spin. We do have two young kids as well. We homeschool our
Mhm.
8-year-old this year, and the 3-year-old's not in school yet. But yeah, yeah, it's fun. It keeps it adventurous for us, and I think it's getting us a lot closer to our goals. Because that was the one thing is that we've got an amazing life here. We absolutely love where we live. It's just a dream destination for both of us. But it just wasn't getting us to our goals as fast as we wanted.
Mhm.
And so
So,
sometimes you have to make those sacrifices.
yeah, but I think it just depends on the person too, right?
Yeah,
Like, what sacrifices are you willing to make and
yeah.
where you are in your life too.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So I know that at my age, I'm not ready to make any huge sacrifices
Yeah, yeah.
because my runway is getting a little shorter too.
Well, I mean, on the flip side,
Mhm.
on the flip side of that, my husband's actually a little bit older than me, and so he's kind of the same thing where he's like, my runway is getting shorter, so I need to make some very big moves now because I want to, because of what we want to create over the next few years here.
Yeah, definitely. But when I was younger, yeah, I used to pick up and move. I've lived
Yeah.
on 3 continents and
Good for you. That's so fun.
so and definitely a learning experience for the children.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's another challenge as well, of course, because we could stay very comfortable secure in our home here, and our children love it and they love their school and things like that.
Mhm.
But we also wanted to, yeah, explore what it looks like for them to get uncomfortable as well and learn and to grow and that kind of thing too. You know, it comes out in their play. My daughter was playing this morning with some babies and she was saying, I'm a single mother of 4 children and I don't work because I spend so much time traveling. Okay, but you know what? She's the best. Her language, she's the best one, best Spanish speaker in our family. She's
Oh,
so good.
wow. They're
Yeah,
so they pick up things so
it's
quickly.
so cool to see. Yeah,
I love that she's already like so independent, like speaking
yeah,
like an independent woman. That's so
yeah,
cute.
exactly.
So, well, you have been doing investing, like you invested in Mexico, you're now
Yeah,
looking at investing in, you know,
Ohio.
in Ohio. And
Yeah.
so what would be your tip for people that maybe thinking about investing internationally?
I mean, Mexico, the experience started really strong. It's ending very slowly, as you can imagine, with Mexico. So that's frustrating. I think that in the process of going international, is you just have to be a little comfortable to have things not go the way that you planned it. But even in Canada, right, builds go 6 months over, budgets go way over. Like all these things are very common about developing and building anywhere you go in the world, it seems.
Mhm.
But I think you just need to have a little bit more lenience for cultural differences, without a doubt.
Mhm.
Even going to the US, right? The US buying process is much different than it is in Canada. The Mexican buying process is much more stringent than it was in Canada. And so yeah, you just have to kind of be open, willing to learn, willing to accept the local standard. Yeah, and I guess be patient is probably what I would say. You
Sounds
know,
good.
we have the flip in Mexico is taking so long to sell, but on the same account, my flip in Canada is also taking very long to sell, right?
Exactly.
You know, I've got friends that are also selling it. The market is just slow right now.
Across in the world, I think,
Yeah,
yeah. You know,
yeah,
there's just, you know, maybe pockets that's a bit better, but like Alberta.
yeah, yeah,
But
exactly.
yeah, definitely. So, oh my goodness, Megan, you're such a wealth of information.
Thank
So,
you.
you know, how can someone contact you?
Yeah, the best place to find me is on Instagram. It's just at Meghan Hubner. It's with an H, MEGHANHUBNER. You can also jump to my website, book your consultation there. I do offer 45-minute free consultations for anyone who is looking to grow and expand their portfolio. Like, let's have a chat, see if it's the right fit to work together. You know, my passion is really helping to save other real estate investors from, you know, potential heartache and failure and really understand how to run their business from the start.
That's excellent. Well, thank you
Yeah.
so much, Megan, for your time.
Yeah,
I
you're
really
welcome.
appreciate it.
It was great to chat
I
with you again.
Yeah, really nice chatting with you. We'll need to keep in touch, and
Yes,
I
please do.
really want to follow, you know, what you do.
Yeah,
So I'd love to hear more as you go through the
yeah,
process.
absolutely. We will
And
keep sharing.
yeah, that would be wonderful. So
Yeah,
thanks so
good.
much, and have a wonderful day.
Thanks, you too. Take care. Bye.
Bye.